Yeah, could you please introduce yourself?
My name is Betty Moldy Drisu. I'm the Attorney General and Minister for Justice of Ghana.
And as your area, what is your area of jurisdiction? I mean,
Well, it means that I'm in charge of the administration of law in Ghana, and I head the Ministry of Justice, which comprises of several departments and subvented agencies, including the Registrar Generals, including the public prosecutors, including legal aid, law reform, and several others. So we have regional offices and we have about 200 attorneys and an equal number of administrative staff. So it's quite a heavy load.
yeah,
I'm
so
also the legal advisor to the government.
now that as you have said, it's a very big job, and I think it's the first time for a woman to hold this particular portfolio in Ghana. Is that true?
I believe so. It's amazing because there are so many of us women lawyers, and yet you wonder how come up to now nobody saw fit to appoint one of the women, as the Minister of Justice. So it's great that it was my government, my party, that actually saw fit to do this, and
And what is that?
it's the NDC party.
Now, coming back to that issue as well, how is the issue of diversification and women's emancipation distribution in public place in Ghana?
Well, hitherto it hadn't been that good. We had a very poor representation. And even now, I must say, in Parliament, we have, I think, 9% of women MPs, which is not good. The standard, as I'm sure you're aware, is at least 33% or 40%. But Professor Mills, His Excellency Professor Mills, the President of Ghana, did make a declaration that he would accelerate the progress, the appointments of women in public positions. And to this end, I'm delighted to say for the first time in Ghana's history, there are six women ministers in this government. So it's a historic leap forward because hitherto there have only been two, maximum, maybe three.
Honorable, that is quite an achievement, but despite the setbacks that you have spoken about, Ghana seems to be leading everywhere. Every other nation in Africa is failing because not only that Ghana was the first African country to get independence, you just held election recently without any violence. You had a rerun, and the whole world was holding its breath. What has been the secret of your achievement as Ghanaians?
Well, I think it's the resilience of the Ghanaian people. We're known as one of the friendliest peoples of the continent, and I think it's that trait that we have. We abhor violence generally, even though there may be sporadic ethnic conflicts here and there. But generally, we are peace-loving people. We believe in the rule of law. We believe in order, and we are patient people. People can say that, that this person has been waiting for some time to come into power, so let's give him a chance, and this other person has just come, so he should wait his turn. It's difficult maybe for the protagonists or for those who are vying for the appointments to understand that. But Ghanaians believe in fairness, in equity, and they believe in the systems of governance that we have, even though some of them need to be strengthened. And they needed to give democracy a chance. They were willing to abide by the results of the election. You see, part of it is confidence in the electoral system. And even though at times our confidence was shaken, but I think in this particular election, the mood for a change was so strong, and the will of the people generally reflected it. And they respected, the other side did eventually respect.
Now, I hope you'll comment on this just as a citizen of Ghana, because here in the diaspora, there's been a wording which we are using. We have heard quite often the issue of tactical voting. Do you think that Ghanaians are really tactical voters?
I think this came up in this election in particular. In Ghana, we call it skirt and blouse. I think that's what you're referring to. And in Ghana, the phrase kept coming up that Ghanaians have now come of age. Ghanaians are voting wisely. They would vote for one parliamentary candidate and then another way for the presidential. What they did show in this election is that small parties were not quite, our choice. And they preferred to vote for the two main parties. And I think that we have come of age in voting. Money doesn't sway us that much anymore. We don't do bread and butter politics, politics of the stomach. We actually vote wisely. We look, we examine the issues, and we vote. This has been very well reflected in this particular
Now,
election.
lastly on that particular point is that as Africans, you know what has happened in Africa, Kenya, Zimbabwe. What lessons do you think other African nations can learn out of what has happened in Ghana?
Yeah, it's talking about systems. It's talking about beliefs. It's encouraging people to have confidence in the systems of governance. For Kenya, for example, they could have gone to court, like they tried to do in Ghana. They could have gone to court, and yet, when they felt that the system was being swayed, yet they didn't have enough confidence, possibly, in the judicial system that it would actually address their problems. So we have to build up systems that give us confidence in them, that the ordinary man can access, whether it's the courts, whether it's the electoral system, and or whether it's the police, to trust in our systems and that they will be impartial.